Folks, I've been on this revelation that God gave me probably 4 or 5 months ago, I don't know, but it will not let me go. I cannot let it go. God is making it, instead of me getting through it and studying it, it's becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's consuming me. It's consuming me, and that's a good thing. I know it's doing that because I want it, or because He wants it to consume our church, so that we become the church that He has called us to be, so that you become the person that He's called, so that you become well within your soul, so that you can have that feeling of well-being, not be troubled, not be fearful, so that you can have that. We have that on earth. Folks, we as Christians are not living up to what He has for us. We go around, oh, the devil fought me today, the devil fought me. God says that He'll make you able to stand against your enemies. He did not say that your enemies would not come to you, come towards you. Your enemies would not try to kill and destroy you. But He said He'll make you be able to stand. Do you not believe Him? If you're believing, then it can be well within your soul. You don't have to worry about it. I've got, this may be the most in-depth teaching that I've had decided to do here yet on this. And last week I spent the whole of the lesson on 1 Thessalonians 5:23. Guess what? I'm still on 1 Thessalonians 5:23. And I'm going to get through as much as I can get through. I got 8 pages here. Anybody that wants these, I think it's somewhat in order that you can maybe gain from it. My notes here, but we'll copy them afterwards. Are you caring for your soul? Are you taking care of yourself? So we got all kinds of health nuts. We know the things to do to care for our bodies, what we take in, what we eat, how we exercise. It's exactly the same with our soul. It's what we take in and what we do to care for our soul. Can you say today that you have a healthy soul? Can you honestly say that you have a healthy soul? You know, we know that we talk about by the words of our mouth. And that is right. But do we realize that the words of our mouth come from our heart, out of the abundance of the heart? If we're speaking truth, it's out of the abundance of the heart. If our words do not line up with what we're really feeling in our heart, then they're just words. So when you say it is all well, if that's not what you're truly feeling in your heart, then it ain't all well.
That's right.
Can you sing today that it is well in my soul? Hallelujah. Once we're saved, what earthly value is a healthy soul? Once we're saved, just as you can tell if somebody's in physical shape by looking at them, you can tell if somebody is in soul shape by listening to them and seeing their actions. So how do you care for your soul? How can you have a healthy soul? Well, to help us get started, I want to go back to 1 Thessalonians 5:23. If we're ever going to have a healthy soul, we need to know what our soul is. We need to understand what our soul is. I used to think that the words soul and spirit were used interchangeably. I used to think that because and the reason I did is because most people, even many preachers, would use those words in the same text. And it was for years before I began to understand that there is a difference, what the difference is. And but look what God tells us in 1 Thessalonians 5:23. Now may the God of peace Remember, peace, it is well in my soul. Being himself sanctify you completely, and may your whole spirit, soul, and body, notice the order of that too. Spirit first, soul second, and then body last. Spirit leads, soul follows, body goes where it goes. May they be preserved blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus. You not only have a body, but you have a spirit and a soul. That's what we're made up of. And may your whole spirit, your soul and body be preserved blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus. James Brown he was correct when he's saying, I'm a soul man. You are too. Right. You are too. So what is our soul and how is it different from our body and spirit? Well, it's through our body we know the material world. This fleshly body, God created a fleshly body, a physical body, a material body, that we would know the material, the physical world. That's what this part relates to. This old fat shell that my soul and my spirit is inhabiting relates to the material part of the world. We got and Paul calls it the outward man. That's what Paul calls it in 2 Corinthians 4:16. It isn't the source of what they see and hear. Nevertheless, it is what people see and hear. It isn't the source of what they see. My body is not the source of what people see and hear, but nevertheless, it is what they see and hear. The source is my soul and my spirit. That's what they see and hear. That's what directs what this body says and what this body does. That's what they see and hear, but it's not the source of it. The source of it's inside, much deeper. Through our soul, we know the psychological world. In fact, the Greek word translated for soul is psyche. It's psyche, your mind. That's what the Greek word, the word that was used in the Bible. It's where we get the words psychic and psychology. The soul consists of our emotions, our will, and our mind. Let me say this again. Our soul consists of our emotions, our psyche, our mind, and our will. Our emotions, our mind, and our will. That's what our soul is. Our soul is forever. Our body is not. Our spirit is forever. Our body is not. Proverbs 24:14. So shall the knowledge of wisdom, listen to this, so shall the knowledge of wisdom be to your soul. If you have found it, there is a prospect, and your hope will not be cut off. In other words, according to Psalm 24:14, the soul is centered in the mind. 1 Samuel 18:1. Now when he had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David. And Jonathan loved him as his own soul. That tells us that the soul is the center of emotions. Love is an emotion. You got that scripture says in 1 Samuel 18:1. So we know Psalms tells us it's centered in the mind. 1 Samuel tells us it's the center of emotions. All of our soul. Job 6:7 says, my soul refused to touch him. They are as loathsome food to me, which tells us that the soul is the center of our will. I will not touch him. Touch them. That tells us the soul is the center of our will. Psyche, thought, emotion, love, will. That is our soul. So when God created this, he created us with a body, which is physical or material, with substance and matter, so that we can relate to the material world. He created us with a soul so that we can relate in the psychological world. And then finally, he created us with a spirit so that we can relate to the spiritual world to him. So we can relate to the spiritual world, which is to him. It's through our body we know the world beneath us, this world here. It's through our spirit that we know the world above us. And it's through our soul that we can know the world within us. Our body, we can know the world beneath us. Our spirit, we know the world above us. God, our soul, we can know the world within us.
Good.
Okay? That encompasses all. That is all of us. So our soul, our psyche, is our emotions, our will and our thoughts. Our soul, our psyche, according to the old Greek word, is our emotions, our will, and our thoughts. So do animals have a soul? Do they have emotions? Do they have thoughts and personality? Sure they do.
Yeah.
But animals don't have a spirit. Only man has a spirit, for we have been made in the image of God. Right? That's what the Bible tells us. John the Revelator tells us that God is spirit.
Yes.
So when he made us in his image, he made us with spirit. He breathed into us.
Yes.
That's why your dog or your cat, your bird, your rabbit, they can't know God because they don't have no spirit. But they do have a soul. How do you know that animals have a soul? Well, let's let God answer that. In Genesis 1, we have the record of creation. In verse 24, we read, Then God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature according to its kind, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth, each according to its kind, and it was so. The Hebrew word that's translated creature here is the word nephesh, which is usually translated soul. The Hebrew word nephesh is translated soul. It means self-conscious life, as opposed to plant life, which is without soul or spirit. So life is three different levels. We are high. We have soul, spirit, and body. Creatures have body and soul. Plant life, vegetation, just has body. Is that clear? What our soul actually is?
It's good.
A dog can't pray or worship, but he can wag his tail, he can run around, have a big time. He can even grieve. I've seen dogs grieve. He can be angry, so he has emotions, all those stuff, but he cannot know God. A soul he has, but no spirit. Only man made in the image of God has spirit and can know and worship God. Let me show you. When God created Adam, we're told here in Genesis 7 that the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, spirit. And man became, the Bible says, a living soul. Man became a living soul. You got something you want? Well, praise God. And I was probably mulling this over about 2 o'clock all last night. God just kept giving this to me. But when God breathed, when He breathed into the nostrils of man, He breathed the breath of life, which is spirit. That's His spirit He breathed into us. And man became, at that point, a living soul. When God created Adam, Adam became a body, a soul, and a spirit. All three. That's what we're made up of. That's our three parts. And what did God tell Adam about eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil? He clearly said in Genesis 2, 16, 17, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. Did he eat of it? Yeah, he did. Only one rule. He had to break it. That's man for you. That's me. That's you. That's the way we are. That's the way we're born. That's why we must be born again. Well, did he die? In that moment, he did die spiritually. Spiritually. See, his spirit died. He ultimately died physically 900 years later. But so when sin moved in to Adam, God moved out of Adam. Because God won't exist for the sin. When he ate that tree, then God moved out. So he did die spiritually. Is that clear? He physically died 900 years later. Had he not done that, he might be teaching a Sunday school class. His spirit died instantly. His soul died progressively. Listen to this. His soul died progressively, just as it is sanctified progressively. Our soul is sanctified progressively. His body died progressively. His body died ultimately. So now Adam had a living body and a living soul, but a dead spirit after he ate of the tree, the knowledge of good and evil. Do you know why I pity those who are trying to live life without God? I pity them because they are living life, making choices and decisions with their body and all of its desires and its lust and its preferences, and their soul, their emotions, and their personality without the advantage of the spirit that connects them to God. They're making their decisions based on what their body likes and what their emotions tell them to, without the guidance of God, because they're spiritually dead. They don't have God's Spirit in them. That's everybody who does not have God in their life. God does not inhabit their body. No wonder they could do what they do. No wonder they live like they live. Their choices and decisions are based on the desires of their flesh, plus their emotions and personality, with no thought to God and no influence from God. No influence. How can there be? How can there be, since they have no living spirit? They can't have an influence by God because they don't have a living spirit of God in them. That's why they must be born again. That's why they must be born spiritually. Adam was created spiritually. He messed it up. We are not born spiritually any longer. We are born of body, flesh, and soul, which is also eternal. We do not acquire spirit until we are born again, born of God. Romans 8 and 6 says, for the carnal mind, that's fleshly. For carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. State of well-being, being able to say it is well with honesty. To be spiritually minded, you must have a living spirit within you. And to have a living spirit within you requires a spiritual birth. And to experience a spiritual birth, you must be born again. So how is your soul? How's your psyche? How's your thoughts? How's your mental health? Your mind and emotions and your will? Do you get out of control? Have you lost your temper? Have you lost your temperance? your control of your emotions. That's not healthy. You know what that'll do? That'll keep you from being able to say, it is well within my soul. I mean, you can say it. You can lie about it. Many people do. Many people, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to confess that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, it is well. But if in their heart it is not well, then they're lying. Yes, we are by the confession of our words. But it must come from the heart. It has to come from truth. We can only get that from truth. And it is His Spirit in us that enables us to understand the truth, Jesus, of His Word. And when we understand that, then it is our confession, our words. But our words are only words. They come out of the abundance of our heart. Of our heart. So that's what tells the truth. We can stand and confess from now until Jesus comes again. And if it's not true out of our heart, it don't mean nothing. Don't mean anything. Or perhaps you could say that I need my soul restored today. And I would say that almost all of us can say that. I need my soul restored. Because I can't say that I really have a spirit of well-being. I really have a feeling of well-being in my heart. I really have no fear of anything. I'm really not anxious for nothing. I'm really not torn between two decisions. I cannot say with honesty it is well inside because I'm troubled. Well-being, simply put, is not being troubled. So if you are not being troubled by anything, any situation, any person in your life, you are in a state of well-being. But if you are troubled by a situation, a person, a thing, a circumstance in this world, you are not in a state of well-being. Guess where God wants us to live? He said, I want you to have life and have it more abundantly. Jesus said, my peace I leave with you.
Yes. Yes.
He wants you to be in that state of well-being. He wants you to go around with a grin bigger than the Cheshire Cat. He wants you to be happy. He said, I want you to be my witness. Not tell them about my witness. I want you to be my witness.
Yes.
How are you going to be my witness? If they see something in you that they don't see in the lost. That they don't see in somebody down on Main Street. That they see that you truly are separate. Then just your life is be my witness. He didn't say, tell them all about me, Pop. He didn't say that. He said, I want you to be my witness. That's how you live your life. That's what comes out of your body. Your words, hey, Eli, my pal, my buddy. What's up? Praise God. So I think we can all say we need our soul restored.
Yes.
If you cannot say with all honesty, it is well, or I have a problem with this or that, then you need your soul restored. Psalm 23:3, He restores my soul.
Yes.
That's biblical.
Amen.
That's biblical. He restores my soul. What does that mean? He restores my soul. The word restores means to bring back. You could say He brings back my soul. Back where? Back to health. Back to hope. Back to holiness. Back to holiness. It is our soul that the day we lay it down at the altar. It is our soul the day we come to the altar. It is our spirit then that is saved. Our spirit then becomes His spirit. His spirit comes out. But my soul, from that day on, though it be saved, though it be written in the book of life, that very moment at the altar, It is our soul at that very moment that must begin the process of sanctification, of being sanctified.
Yes.
So he restores it back to health, back to holiness, and consequently back to the state of well-being. That allows you to say it is well with an honest heart. That allows you to say it is well. I'm going to tell you the truth. You can say it is well all you want, but I can watch you for an hour and I'll know if it's well or not. I can listen to you for 30 minutes and I'll know is it well or not. God don't like liars. He gets pretty harsh about that. So let's work at being well. It's the picture of a lost sheep that can't find its way back home. It's wandered off and needs to be brought back home by someone. I've got into a study on sheep, and I'm telling you, it has opened up the parables, that the analogies that Jesus gave were supernatural. They were amazing. You know, we can say as a sheep, but I mean, it goes so much deeper and farther than we know if we study those parables. And as Keith said, the lost chapter, Luke 15, it is so much deeper than what we know. So a sheep needs to be brought back home. Sometimes a sheep will end up on its back. Now listen to this, and not be able to roll themselves back over by themselves. You know that almost any other animal can do that. Any other four-legged animal, a dog, a horse, a cow, they'll roll completely over, but they can get back up. A sheep can't. But they get completely on their back. That's why the shepherd has to keep a close watch on. The shepherd would roll the sheep back over, straddle it, then rub its legs to get the circulation, the blood flowing back freely in its legs, and then let it go. The shepherd has to nurse it back, get that blood flowing. May I tell you that when you find yourself on your back and you can't get up, it's because your soul has gotten sick. All is not well, but there is a shepherd watching over you, and he's ready to roll you back over and restore you and get the blood flowing back. And his name is Jesus.
Yes, amen.
His name is Jesus. By the way, this phrase, restores my soul, can also be translated to bring back the stray. To bring back. Some sheep wander off. Did you know that not all kinds of sheep wander off? That's true. But you know the kind that wander off? It is amazing to me. Just the study of sheep opened up so much revelation to me about why Jesus referenced that so much in his own words. You know which sheep tend to wander off from the rest of the flock? It's those that just nibble. It's those that just nibble when they're grazing in a flock, when they're out in the pasture, they just nibble. The sheep that are heavy eaters, that they seldom stray. You know why? Because their head and their eyes and all of their attention is on the food that they're taking in. The ones who have a tendency to wander astray, and this is true. This is something that I've just found out about sheep. The ones that wander astray are those who just nibble, and much of their attention is drawn away from their food that they need to be taking in to nourish them to their surroundings. Think about that. That's true today. Those who constantly feed on the Word of God seldom stray from the Lord, from the church, or from their families. Those who constantly feed, those who are hungry and put their attention, their eyes on the food that they need to nourish their soul. Remember, it is our soul that dictates what our body does. our thoughts, our will, and our emotions. Those three things, that's what our soul was made up of. So our soul dictates, it determines what our body does. So if we feed our soul, keep our soul healthy, our body's going to do the right thing. Period. So keep on feeding on the Word. If you want to keep your soul healthy, be feeding on the Word. There's another, I won't even go into it now. One of these days, if God, I can spend several lessons just teaching on sheep and how we are like sheep. God restores our souls by either rolling us over and getting us back on our feet, or by bringing us back, reviving or retrieving. For those nibblers, for those whose mind, eyes, and attention was not on their food. The surroundings, the world out there got their attention, and they wandered off. They wandered astray. And they can't find their way back, because sheep can't. There's an amazing way that they're gathered back in. We'll get into some other time. So do you have a healthy soul? Can you say with honesty that all is well? How do you care for your soul? I want to give you several ways to care for your soul to help make sure you have a healthy soul. To begin with, a healthy soul is a saved soul. It's a saved soul. See, we have a soul to start with, but it ain't saved until we're born again.
Yes.
That's what we read in 1 Peter 1:9 about the salvation of your soul. You getting some more good stuff, sis?
I just wrote down saved equals healthy, and the way I wrote it, it says heal thy soul.
There you go.
Healthy is heal thy soul.
That's it. Praise God. You will never have emotional health and mental health without having a saved soul. You won't have it. Can't have it. Why? Because your soul is your thoughts, your psyche, and your emotions, and your will. 3 John 2, beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. Man, I've heard this scripture used so many times, so many ways, and many times I just shake my head and walk away. Well, Lord willing, it'll be opened up to them one day. Is your soul, praise God, is your soul prospering? Is your soul prospering these days? Nobody with a sick soul is really prosperous. Now, Vance Hebner, I don't even know who he is, but I found this quote. The man who is right with God and men is in a fair way to being in good health. You say, what does a soul that prospers look like? Well, this word translated prosper, and I can't even find, I found a word, but I can't pronounce it. But the word translated described the soul being led along a good road, down a road to success. We are very familiar with prosperous being successful. We equate that. The way we equate successful, though, differs much from the biblical interpretation of successful. The kind of success that Joseph experienced in Genesis 39, he said the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man. Why? Because it says that the Pharaoh seen the spirit in Joseph. Pharaoh, he said, surely the Spirit of God rests in this man and any man more than any man in the land. He's seen what Joseph said. He's seen Joseph's action. Joseph didn't just go up to him and tell him, it is well within my soul. The Pharaoh seen it and knew it was. Because it said the Spirit of God rested in this man. Therefore, I'm going to give him favor because God favored him. He's the man that I need. So as the term prosper is used in the Bible, it is to be successful. It is for our soul to be successful. It says, I would that you prosper even as your soul prospers. So let's get things in proper perspective. Forget dollars and cents. Forget gold and silver. Forget cars and houses. That don't even enter into the equation. God may favor you with all that. Very often He will favor you with all that. However, your soul being successful means that your soul, it is well. You are not troubled. Your mind is renewed. Your mind is the mind of Christ. Your will is God's will. Your emotions are the compassion and love of God. That's when your mind is successful. That is when you can say, it is well within my soul, and not be a liar.
Yes.
So he said, I would that you prosper, even as your soul prospers, even as your soul is successful. How is your soul successful again? Your soul is successful that I have the mind of Christ, that I have the will of God the Father, that I have the emotions driven by love of God, by love for others. If I've got that, I'm successful. All the rest is going to take care of itself. Matthew 6:33, seek ye first. Everything else is going to be taken care of if you got that. Hebrews 10:39 speaks of those who believe to the saving of the soul. They believe to the saving of the soul. See, it is the soul that needs to be consecrated. It needs to be sanctified. It is the soul that is at the center of it. It is the soul that is our mind, our emotions, and our will. It is the soul that drives our body, that dictates, determines what our body does and what our mouth says. You cannot be a whole person as God designed without a saved soul. Listen to God's invitation to you found in Isaiah 55. That's great. Oh, everyone who thirsts, come to the water. Praise God. You have no money? Come, buy and eat. Yes, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend money for what is not bread? Why do you spend money for what is not bread? What is bread? Sustenance of life. And your wages for what does not satisfy. Listen carefully to me and eat what is good. Eat what is good. Let your soul delight itself in abundance, overflowing. Overflowing. Your soul overflows. It is that way that others will see. If it comes out of you, if it's worked out, as Paul tells us to do, work out your salvation, then it's abundant and it's overflowing to you. Then others are drawn by His Spirit that is overflowing out of you. Praise God. I'm so happy to see everybody coming in. Glory to God. Glory to God. I don't know what time it is. I'm going to keep teaching till the preacher tells me to quit. Praise God. When the writer of Hebrews speaks of the saving of the soul, he means the saving of the person. The psyche, the emotions, and the will. With the soul, all of these things come along. With the soul, your body and your spirit comes along. C.S. Lewis said it this way: the regenerate man will find his soul eventually harmonized with his spirit by the life of Christ that is in him. Why did he say eventually? The sanctifying of the soul is progressive. It's progressive. He said, eventually, If Christ be in him, he will find his soul in harmony with his spirit, which is the Spirit of God. You can put it down. A healthy soul is a saved soul and a sanctified soul. I hear the music. Or is that in? Glory to God. I want to tell you again. I don't know how many. I've got a bunch of pages here, but we'll make copies. Anyone wants my